Hi, I'm Nathan. You're about to travel to a place of humor, analysis, and discovery. Welcome to the Wad Fam Chalk Pod.
Hello and welcome to the Wad Fam Chalk Pod. I'm Dylan Weaver.
I'm Andrew Sabo.
And we're here to talk about Eugene's Dilemma. It would be episode 76 of Adventures in Odyssey.
Episode 2 of the Blackguard Chronicles.
Yes.
For those that are keeping track of it.
Mm-hmm. We're still on the Daring Deeds, Sinister Schemes album.
Yeah.
And we are once again written and directed by Paul McCusker. It's going to be a trend when we talk about Novacom.
Exactly.
And this one aired June 24th of 1989.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I'll give you the voice cast rundown as well.
Yeah. We've got a couple new characters, right?
We do. We have Nathan Carlson voicing Richard Maxwell.
Okay.
He's done a lot of video game work.
Yeah.
That's kind of it.
Yeah.
We have Dick Beals as Nicholas.
What an unfortunate name.
He is 60 years old.
Now?
No.
Oh.
In this episode, playing Nicholas.
Playing the child.
Yep.
That's uncomfortable. That's more uncomfortable than having a woman play the child.
Maybe. I don't know. He's famous for being Davy in Davy and Goliath.
Oh, okay. That's why he sounded familiar.
And Hal Smith was Goliath.
How about that? And also Owl.
Yes. More importantly. He was also N.J. Norman Meyer on The Addams Family. And then Parley Bear voices...
Those aren't real names, right?
No.
Parley Bear.
Parley Bear. He's the voice of
Sounds
both...
like a character from the Jungle Book.
Both Burgomeister and Thomas Grayson.
Okay.
Who's one of the guys in the meeting.
Yeah.
And...
The Council.
The Council. And he has 282 IMDb credits.
Wow.
This dude was everywhere.
A busy bee.
He was Doc Appleby in The Dukes of Hazzard.
Okay.
He was the mayor in The Magical World of Disney.
Oh.
He was the mayor in The Andy Griffith Show.
Okay.
And he was the mayor in The Addams Family.
Wow. Mayoral voice, I suppose. I think that's being typecast.
I know.
Perhaps.
I was like, what's he been notable? Oh, a lot of times he's been the mayor in shows that I know. Also, 2 Addams Family people in this episode. Dick Beals and Parley Bear.
Both of the strangest names I've ever heard.
Parley Bear. Then
that doesn't sound real.
No, it doesn't. The last person of note is Ralph Harris, who's another one of the people in the boardroom, being voiced by Steve Harris, who's a writer, director, and producer on the show. Early Odyssey does that sort of thing a lot.
They just pull people in for bits. I mean,
yeah, and give them the same last name. Apparently.
Yep. So without further ado, is it promo time, Dylan?
Oh yeah, it's promo time.
Oh, have you heard this?
No.
Oh.
I just forgotten, and then I was
It's promo time.
very excited.
Coming up on Adventures in Odyssey.
I was just double-checking some of the students' grades, and I found a few that don't match.
Eugene goes to work for the Campbell County Community College computer room and winds up in the middle of a difficult and revealing mystery.
In this case, we will decide whether to expel you from school or have you arrested. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Find out what happens next time on Adventures in Odyssey.
Yeah. So.
Wow.
So we start off the episode with Eugene walking around with Mr. Burgomeister.
Which, that is definitely what's the burger thief from McDonald's?
The Hamburglar.
Yes, that's his cousin, the Burgomeister.
He's got a bit of that Holstein thing.
Yeah,
where it's
yeah.
like it's clearly someone just doing an accent.
Yeah. Which, I don't understand why that Odyssey does that. They just, the only way to distinguish that these are different people is if they have ridiculous accents.
It's a show for kids.
That's fair. And they work at Campbell County Community College, or C4 for those
Campbell University.
Yeah, Campbell University, definitely.
So yeah, and he's taking Eugene to a room where Eugene's gonna work on computer stuff.
Yeah.
And he can't. Anyways, so they go into this room. It's where like all the financial records are, as well as like grade stuff. Like it's pretty like high security, whatever. And there is a child in that room.
Yep. There is a 12-year-old, presumably. 12?
He's 11.
He's very young.
He's 11. Nicholas Adamsworth.
Which, wow, also another name.
Yep.
And that voice, Nicholas Adamsworth, his voice is so distinct. It's like that delicate balance of like nasally but sad.
Yeah. Well, you can thank 60-year-old man Dick Beals for that.
Dick Beals. Gotta love him.
And so...
Rest in peace, presumably?
Yeah. Yep. 2002.
Oh.
Guy's been dead for almost 2 decades.
Yikes.
Jeez. What are we doing? So Burgelmeister's...
I can't take it serious. His name's Burgelmeister.
He's... Hey, dude, Burgelmeister, played by Parley Bear.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. That's just a joke. That's a character from Dora.
So Burgelmeister's presumably someone like, I don't know if he's the dean of the college or what his position is, but he's definitely high up in the college.
Yeah.
And he's got the trope where like he's a person in power, so he can't remember anyone's names.
Yeah.
He calls Nick like Applesby.
Yeah.
And like, calls Eugene Hubert.
Yeah.
And there's a weird joke in this episode, and I think others, where people can't pronounce Meltzner correctly.
Yeah. It's not that hard of a name to pronounce.
It's pronounced the way it looks.
Exactly.
It's a weird thing to get like hung up on.
Meltzner? Meltzner? I don't know. What's the issue?
Yeah.
My last name is a lot weirder than the pronunciation than
I
Meltzner.
agree. Acepo.
My bad. Akababo.
My name's boring. So yeah.
Hi, boring. I'm Dad. Sorry. Forgive me. I have sinned.
This isn't a Catholic church. So the idea here is Nick is a very young kid in college. Mm-hmm. He's an orphan. Mm-hmm.
He's gifted.
Yes,
he's
a
genius.
genius. He's in college at 11.
Yeah.
You start kindergarten at 5.
Yes.
Maybe 6.
Yes.
So in 5 years, he's made it the whole way through school into college.
Yes.
And he's part of an experimental program wherein Campbell University is letting kids who are orphans go to college there.
Yeah, if they're gifted enough to be there that they can do it because, gives them an education, gives them a chance. And then Eugene makes the comment that, wow, I didn't start my college studies till I was 13.
Which brings up a really interesting point. Mm-hmm. Because later, they talk about Eugene getting expelled from college.
Yeah.
So he's been in college for 10 years?
Presumably. And then stays in college forever.
And this is... Right, because Eugene's in his 20s.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like 10-ish years in college, maybe 8,
Do you think he's 18?
What?
You think Eugene's 18?
If he started at 13, 8 years would put him at 21.
Oh, did he say that he was in school for 8 years?
No.
I was just wondering.
You're saying
how old
could
we think
Eugene be 18?
Yeah. I'm thinking just like timetable and age gap between him and Connie. Maybe 19, 20?
Maybe. Yeah, I was going to say, I always assume he's in his 20s, but he could be late teens.
Yeah.
Regardless, he's been in college for more than 4 years. Mm-hmm. Despite our jokes about it being a university, it's a community college.
Yes.
Community colleges usually only do 2-year degrees.
Yes.
Somehow, he has been there for over 4 years.
Yes. Yeah. He has like 8 associate's degrees.
Right. It's weird. It's weird.
I don't understand it.
Yeah.
Granted, Connie's like, I don't know. Academics and Odyssey don't mix well.
No, I agree. But Eugene's always been portrayed as a college-age person.
Exactly.
But the fact that he started college at 13 doesn't add up to that.
Yeah. Because if he started college at 13 because he was a prodigy, like, what? And he goes to a community college.
Right.
Like,
and
what?
He goes to a community college. He hasn't graduated college yet. He doesn't have, like,
a
all
doctorate
these,
or
like,
anything.
And he doesn't have all these, like, prestigious job offers. Like, he's hanging out at a community college in a small town working at a soda shop.
Yep. And he's a certified genius.
Yes.
Why?
He's got the certificate and everything. I don't know. It's weird. So there's...
Will Ryan, tweet at us.
So there's a computer system that's in charge of keeping grades, and that's what Eugene and Nick are there to work on, amongst other stuff.
Yeah.
And maybe we're supposed to assume that they talked about it before, but Burgomeister does not give, like, any instruction on, like, this is what you'll be doing. He's just kind of like, and here's the room!
And here's a kid you're in charge of.
Right.
Like, what? Okay.
Yep. And so Eugene decides that he's going to do a random check on all the grades that were inputted versus what they are now, just to see if there are any discrepancies.
Yeah.
Which
Exposes.
whips Nick up into, or Nicholas, or
Yeah.
Nicky, I guess he's never Nick, up into a frenzy.
Yeah, he freaks out. He's like, oh, you don't really need to do that. That's kind of like, he does the nervous voice very, very well.
Yeah. He's really well acted.
Yeah. And so, like, Nicholas is freaking out, and then they find some Wait, is this when Maxwell comes in?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so yeah, Maxwell shows up at the door as Nick's as Nicholas's guidance counselor.
Yeah, and he works at the college, but
Right.
also works with the orphanage because of, I guess, the program.
No, I don't think he works with the orphanage.
Okay.
I don't get that.
Okay, he just works for Campbell County Community
But
College.
it's weird. He shows up and Nick's like, "Oh yeah, that's my counselor," and Eugene's like, "You need a counselor?" And I'm like, "What is that supposed to mean?"
Yeah, I don't. It makes sense that you need a counselor.
Like, everyone in school has a counselor.
Yeah.
Also, this is an 11-year-old in school who's an orphan and is, like, struggling.
And
so,
with
like,
a program,
right.
like, yeah.
Yeah, of course there's a counselor.
Yeah.
But then we meet Richard Maxwell, who is just garbage.
He's a weasel. He sounds like a weasel. He talks like a weasel. His personality is Wizel.
Yeah, and he actually... this is not Maxwell's first appearance. He previously showed up in episode 72 earlier on this album as just kind of like a weird background character. He interacts with Donna some. It's really, really like irrelevant to all the Blackguard stuff, but he is
there.
Like, he's an established character, but he hasn't had interactions with any of, like, Eugene, Connie. I don't even think
he hasn't
Whit.
fleshed out
Like,
his character
he's not,
himself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Until now, when he establishes himself as Weasel.
Right.
So they're looking at grades. Eugene and Nicholas are looking at grades. They're talking about, like, the mistakes. And then Eugene notices that there is some discrepancies in, like, there's like, oh no, they haven't found the discrepancies yet, have they? Because they're talking about it, and they have this security. Yeah, they have this, like, they find the discrepancies, and then they're talking about, like, well, how could this have happened? Like, it must have been, like, Nicholas suggests it was somebody from the outside,
right?
And then
Eugene's like, this system's foolproof, though, and I'm like,
that's
Eugene,
the point of hackers. The point of hackers
system is foolproof.
Exactly.
That's what they do.
Yeah.
Oh, the other thing we didn't mention with Maxwell is the fact that he mentions that he was supposedly, like, he wanted this position.
Yeah.
And Eugene took it from him.
Yep.
And Eugene's like, you were gonna work in here? In, like, the snobbiest way ever.
Yeah.
Where, like, he doesn't have any basis for this.
Yeah.
If he had previous interactions with Maxwell, that would make sense.
No, but he doesn't know. He's like, you were going to work in here? And then Maxwell's like, yeah, computers are my expertise.
Right. Yeah.
Because I'm a weasel.
He's a Renaissance man.
I'm a jack of all trades.
And he brings up to Eugene, he's like, didn't you used to work at that ice cream place downtown?
Yeah.
And Eugene's, like, kind of stumbling through it and explains how he left, and legitimately flat out mentions
applesauce. Yeah. You stupid idiot!
You're so dumb, Eugene!
You're so dumb! You have a top secret program that you weren't even supposed to open, and you talked to it. To a stranger.
You were fired over this.
You told a stranger.
And you already visibly disliked this guy, and you're like, I'll just
tell him about applesauce.
Yeah.
Icky feelings. All right. Yeah, so they're looking at these grades, and then Eugene goes home and thinks about it all night, and they come back the next day, and it's Eugene and Nicholas. And Nicholas is very, visibly upset, and Eugene is like, I was thinking about it last night. Like, hey, I figured out that if we go online, we can track who changed the grades and where they changed it from. And then they do that, and then they pinpoint it, and Nicholas was in the room, and this whole time Nicholas is being like he's trying to tell Eugene that he was the one that changed the grades.
Right.
And Eugene won't have it.
Right.
And then it gets to the point where he finds out that somebody changed the grades while you were in the room. Like, who was it? And Nicholas is like, no, I changed the grades.
It was me.
It was me. And then he spills the beans because Maxwell put him up to it to change the grades because he could make money by changing grades, and if he didn't, then he was going to get sent back to the orphanage. And the whole bit about Nicholas's character is that he got bullied a ton at the orphanage.
Right.
And at least here, people leave him alone, and he's able to, do school and be happy.
Yeah, and it's tough.
Yeah, you feel so bad for Nicholas.
Right, because he is this kid with this bright future and is clearly
it's painful how realistic of a scenario that is, though. There's so many instances of kids in social services getting taken advantage of.
Yep. Yeah. And it's this whole,
and then Maxwell busts in.
Yeah, Maxwell busts in and just lays it all out there.
Yep, just tells him.
Yeah,
because
I don't know. He villain monologues, but not in a way that made him sound good, but in a way that made him sound like even more of just a loser.
Well, and then he does that, and he also basically uses Nicholas as leverage, and uses basically as if you say, if you tell anybody, I'll get Nicholas and I'll get him sent back to the orphanage.
Right.
And so it's just this kind of circle of blackmail, and so Eugene is forced to say nothing.
Right.
Yep.
And it's a pretty good manipulation.
Yeah.
Because we do have evidence of Nick doing something wrong.
Yeah.
We have evidence of Nicholas doing something wrong. Man, I'm bad.
It's okay. That's okay.
And because Nick is someone very different with a New York accent.
Yeah.
And so yeah, the whole thing is Maxwell's look, I'm gonna turn you over. I'm gonna write a bad report. You're gonna get kicked out of here. You're gonna go back to the orphanage. So do what I say.
Yep.
And Eugene, if you go to anybody about this, I'm still gonna kick out Nick.
Yeah.
So he's just Nick now. It's fine.
He's just Nick. It's fine. We're moving past it.
Yeah. I can't keep correcting myself. So yeah, it's tough.
It's really tough. It's really tough, especially because we already have this connection between Eugene and Nicholas being kind of kindred spirits.
Eugene understands it.
Yeah. And wouldn't want to hurt somebody like that, you know? And especially considering all that he's been through with just getting fired from Wits End and all that. That's kind of the big crux of this episode is how does Eugene respond to adversity, and how is it different now than it was before?
Yeah, and I don't know if it's talked about, if it's a known thing at this point in the series, but Eugene's also an orphan.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Huh.
What? Yeah.
Okay. I never knew that.
You definitely did.
Maybe I did, but I certainly didn't remember it.
But yeah, like, and I think at an older age.
Yeah.
But he does not have
parents.
Right. He does not have living parents. And so, and yeah, like I said, I don't know if that's discussed, but it adds like an extra thing on here where it's like, like not only does he get the
child genius bullied part.
Right, the child genius, but he also gets like not having parents and like
how difficult that is.
Dealing with that.
Yeah.
So it's at this point Maxwell leaves and Eugene's is like, okay, well, you know what? We'll just change all the stuff back. Mm-hmm. You know what, Nicholas? Write down all of the name changes that you made. Mm-hmm. And like write down the name to all these people who you changed, and we're just gonna change them back. Mm-hmm. Eugene just pulled all that information in a report.
Yes.
He was doing a random audit, so it was only some of the data. But he could very easily pull all of that information.
All the changes, yeah.
So there's no reason that he needs
Nicholas
to write all this stuff down.
Yeah, I wondered why that was the case as well.
It's really funny because they make such a big point of it earlier of like him like getting the because it's the 80s, he's getting like the computer printouts, like it's not like the information's like in a spreadsheet, he like gets sheets of paper printed out that he gets to sift through and like all that fun old like computer nostalgia, but like he has access
he
to
has
this
all that and definitely knows how to do it, so
he doesn't need Nick to try and remember all of that stuff.
Yeah, unless there were grade changes that were like intentional, I suppose. Like if they were like academically viable, if something were to happen, I suppose. I don't know.
Then that wouldn't have raised Eugene's radar when he found that information earlier.
Yeah.
So
anywho,
it's
needless writing is needless.
Yep.
Ding.
So then we go to the next day.
Mm-hmm. Where Eugene and Nicholas are like Eugene is visibly like very upset, and Nicholas is like talking about it, and is like, thank you for not, telling on me, and Eugene's like, I would rather just forget that everything happened, and he's so quiet, and then he gets caught by the Burgomeister.
Yeah, he gets called to Burgomeister's office.
He gets caught red-handed.
Burgomeister says that he's been working with their security team.
Yep.
And noticed that there's been grade changes a lot recently.
Yeah.
And so 2 days ago he started monitoring that, and there were a high concentration of them last night while Eugene was in that room.
Yeah, and he asked him like, why are you staying? Like, what were you doing last night? And he was like, well, I was staying late doing work. And he's like, what were you doing? And he's like, well, work. And he's very, very quiet. He doesn't really sound like himself. At this time,
it becomes clear that Eugene's not going. Like he's
covering for him,
right?
Yep.
And they bring this up a couple times about like the law and stuff. Is it illegal to change grades?
So they talk about the thing that's worth noting is that the changing grades thing is a money scheme. The point is that people pay for you to change.
Pay Maxwell, and he changes their grades.
Yep. And so, they were looking at it, and even the dean was like, "This is a money making scheme,"
Right. And like,
I think it is illegal. It must be.
Well, I get it could be like, I absolutely know it could be against a college's policy.
Yeah.
And grounds for firing or expulsion and all that stuff. I don't know at what point the law gets involved. Because it is...
I mean, it's data, I guess, like tampering with official documents, especially if it's a government facility, government funding. I don't know.
I don't know. It's a little murky there for
me.
But,
it's definitely close enough that you could have been like, hey, this guy was tampering with grades. He should at least get fined, probably.
Right. But, like, so Burgomeister's been monitoring this for last night. So isn't he aware that what Eugene did last night was make every person's grade worse?
Yes.
Which, like, I guess theoretically people could pay for their classmates to get worse grades, but that doesn't really make sense.
Yeah.
So he should be able to look at it.
Unless he can't tell that, maybe he can just tell the activity. Because then he would have to access the grades beforehand.
His reporting system is worse than Eugene's.
True. Okay. You're right.
Anyways, So Eugene's gonna get called in front of a board of trustees.
Yeah.
The
board of inquiry.
Yeah, that includes Ralph Harris, Thomas Grayson is like kind of the head chair, and John Avery Whitaker.
Because of course. Of course he's on the board of inquiry at Campbell County Community College.
Yeah.
Campbell University for short.
Right. And so they tell him that, he's either going to be expelled or arrested, confirming that he is still a student.
Yep.
And he's asked to give his defense.
And then he doesn't.
And everyone's kind of like, oh, well, like, I don't know how to deal with that.
Yeah.
And then Whit asks to have the room alone with Eugene.
To kiss.
Oh, he first says, have you guys looked at page 7?
Yeah, and
go out of the room and look at that while I talk to Eugene alone.
Yeah.
So
it's like, have you noticed there's some discrepancies on page 7 or something like that? And they're like, no, because of course Whit was gonna read more than everybody else.
Yeah, that's his job. And so Whit's like, so Eugene, you were like, I fired you a month ago, and some of these changes happened 3 months ago.
Yeah,
which means like it can't be you.
Exactly.
Like you got to dish out on what's going on.
Tell them what's going on.
And Eugene still won't.
Yeah.
And then Nick bursts in. And then
Nicholas. Then Nicholas bursts in. Nicholas. Jolly Saint Nicholas.
He bursts into the room and like just explains everything.
Yep, he spills his guts. He's like basically crying and is like, "No, I won't let you do it. I won't let you get in trouble for me." And then tells them all about the scheme and just spills his guts in front of everybody. And then he gets Maxwell fired.
Yeah. And actually, they say specifically about Maxwell getting expelled.
Yeah, so he gets expelled from...
He's a student at the college...
Technically,
who's working for the college as a counselor?
Yeah, something like that.
It's a little murky.
I don't know if he would, but he's definitely getting paid. So I think that expelled is the wrong word. I think that might have been just a writing error.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you can like work at a college that you were going to.
Yeah, of course.
As far as like working in the bookstore and stuff,
yeah,
I just don't know that counselor would get outsourced.
No, for sure.
That seems weird.
Especially in that kind of capacity, and Maxwell definitely seems older.
But
so
he does not care.
Yeah, he's like, I don't care. I already got my money. I got a better opportunity anyway. Foreshadowing.
Yep. And so he gets out of there. Nicholas gets placed on probation, but gets to stay at the college.
Yep.
And Eugene gets transferred to Wits End.
Yep, he gets transferred to work back at Wits End, and Wit's like, I've seen like the way that you like self-sacrificial integrity or something like that.
Yeah,
like that you were gonna lie and cover for somebody else's good. I want you to come back to Wits End.
Right, exactly.
Which okay.
Well, so I think Whit's idea is not that Eugene was lying.
No.
Eugene chose to fall on the sword.
Yeah.
He says a couple times, like, that room, like, the stuff that went on there was under my...
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I was in charge.
Yeah, he was responsible for it.
I am responsible for what happened.
Yep.
Which really, he was only there for, like, a day, so he's really only responsible for, like, the last couple days of what's happened, which has been good. But regardless, like, it's him taking responsibility for the situation to help out Nicholas. And it's like, all right, you're a good person again.
Yeah.
I'll let you come back to Wits End for an internship?
Well, so I guess he was interning at Wits End before.
Yeah, but like...
Not really. An intern that also... Wow, Wit just quintessentially abuses his interns.
Yeah. I think
I came for a tech thing and they make me serve ice cream.
And mop.
And mop a lot.
But yeah, that's
the episode. Now maybe... Oh, then Wit says, now maybe things can go back to normal. No, they won't.
Nope.
No, not even a little bit. And this episode also doesn't have a biblical theme at the end in the Chris wrap up, which I mean, there's definitely Christ parallel of like falling on the sword for other people.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's kind of a plot episode, but I think similar to when we were talking about A Bite of Applesauce, a really good episode that's setting stuff up.
Yeah, it's a very solid standalone episode. I think probably better than Bite of Applesauce, because Applesauce, yeah, it's good, but one, it's really short, and two, we don't understand the gravity of what applesauce is until we see it now. But this itself, it's very, I mean, this is great. Like, this is an excellent character building episode for Eugene. It fleshes out Wit a bit better. We introduce new characters. We flesh out Maxwell as being a literal scumbag.
Yep.
Yeah.
We get introduced to Nikki and to Burgelmeister.
Oh, Burgelmeister.
Very important character there. But yeah, that's I don't know. I'm having a hard time coming up with stuff to like really talk about for these episodes here, because
they're very plot heavy.
Yeah, I was gonna say because they're plot episodes and they're good.
Yeah, there's not much to hate on.
It's that problem where it's like I can't like.
We could just talk about how good the sound engineering is every episode.
Look, we can't dive into the like my issues with the episode because I don't have too many. We also can't talk about like some of the more theology stuff because there isn't.
Yeah.
So yeah, it does make for something that's a little bit more recappy, but I think that should change. So
yeah,
just kind of,
I'm sure it will.
Like,
are there any discussion questions worth noting on the wiki?
Oh, you know what? It's been a while since we've talked about discussion questions. It's a good call, Andrew.
Thanks. I have those every now and then.
What should have Nicholas done when he was first threatened by Maxwell?
I think we should have told somebody.
Yeah.
He should have just gone straight to
the college board.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, yeah, I guess that makes sense. But the poor guy was so scared. Like, I mean, he was definitely just getting manipulated. And he's 11. He's 11.
Yeah. Yeah, what should have he done is one thing. But what?
Like, he's...
Yeah, but, like, I don't blame
I would never...
him.
Yeah, I don't think I could blame him for that.
Yeah. Was it right for Eugene to take all of the blame?
I don't know that it was.
I'm with you. Like, I get his reasoning.
I don't understand why, if he were to come out and expose Richard Maxwell, that Richard Maxwell would still have the power to...
Correct.
To wield over him.
Well, and it happens in the episode.
Yeah.
Richard Maxwell is exposed, and he doesn't. So it's interesting that that's what wins Wit back.
Yeah.
Is like Eugene like takes ownership of this thing, falls on his sword when he wouldn't have to.
Well, and it's not like he didn't do that in the Bite of Applesauce either.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like they were like, oh, well, we didn't really do anything wrong. Like, they completely were apologetic. They completely owned up to it, and they completely accepted their fate.
Yeah. Also, who has Wit had working for him for a month?
Nobody. Tom Riley. Bernard Walton. Bernard's not even a thing yet. Donna Barkley.
Donna Barkley.
6th grade Donna Barkley.
Yeah, it is a little bit, I don't know. Wit's always struggling to find
work. Yeah.
So,
That's a small business thing. At the Doe, that was the case all the time.
Yeah. That makes sense. And then, was Eugene dishonest in changing the grades back?
No.
See, I could flip it both ways.
Yeah.
Because he righted a wrong.
Yeah.
But he also did change grades.
Yeah.
But the thing is...
He did the right thing for the right reason, but it was a wrong action?
No, he did the right thing for the right reasons, and I think it's the right thing to do. I just think, like, he also needed to tell someone.
Yeah.
But, like, if it had been a computer error...
Yeah.
It wouldn't have been an issue. The problem is that he's kind of covering for Maxwell by doing it.
Yeah.
Even though it's not what Maxwell wants, Maxwell's not going to get in trouble. Eugene's whole like idea behind doing it is, well, if I do this, like Maxwell can't go to the board and complain that the grades weren't changed.
Exactly. And then he can fall. Yeah.
But he can still get rid of Nikki, right?
Yeah.
Because he can say whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
And Nicholas will have to go.
Yeah.
So if he comes across
by defending, like by allowing Maxwell to continue, he like is actually doing the worst thing for Nikki.
Right. Well, it's just like, yeah, and changing the grades back doesn't stop Maxwell's leverage.
No, not at all.
Anyway, like all he can just be mad and do it anyways.
Yeah, all it does is change the students' situation.
Right. So it is this whole thing where it's like the only way that Maxwell can win or can lose in this episode is for Eugene to come forward.
Mm-hmm. And Eugene doesn't come forward.
Every other scenario, he wins, and then Eugene doesn't come forward. So if we play this out, Eugene gets expelled, Nick stays in there, grades continue to get changed.
Yeah.
Because Maxwell still has that leverage.
Yeah.
And then Nick eventually gets kicked out of school.
Yep. Whenever he gets caught.
Eugene's act is perceived as noble.
But it doesn't actually help anybody.
Right, but it's not helpful, and nor is it honest.
Yeah.
So it's so bizarre. I think Wick just wanted an excuse to bring Eugene back.
Yeah, of course.
Because he needed to punish Eugene for what happened. But he also...
Which is strange, because all he did was leave the door open.
Yeah. But he was trusted with a secret. He didn't keep that trust.
Yeah.
So he needed to be punished. But Wick also is trying to function as a mentor and a father figure to Eugene.
Mm-hmm.
So he can't keep him away for too long. So this is kind of a good excuse for him to bring him back under his wing, but I don't know that Eugene necessarily showed like good moral character in this episode.
Yeah, and that was the thing that I noticed where I was like, I don't know that he, especially considering it's not like he showed terrible moral character in the previous episode.
Right. He also tried to fall on the sword there. If in the previous episode he did the, well, you brought this woman to me, and she gave me the apple, so it's her fault, which would have been a more direct parallel. If he had thrown Connie under the bus for something that was partially his fault, then in this episode it makes sense that Wit wins him, that he's won back by falling on the thing for himself. It's more applicable lesson.
Yeah,
but
I wonder
last
why
time
I didn't.
He basically did this thing where he was like, look, we're both to blame.
Yeah.
And now in this one, he decides to take it all on him.
Yeah.
So did Wit previously want him to say it was all me, Connie did nothing? Because that would have also been dishonest.
Yeah, that wouldn't have been honest, and it wouldn't have been accurate to the situation. Like, wow, what?
Yeah, it's a little logistically confusing. Like it's one of those things where it's like I understand the broad strokes of this thing.
Yeah.
But the specifics are a little odd.
Yeah, as to like I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh well.
But that's what we've got.
That's it.
That's
I will say the one thing that I noted on the outro is that like Chris says like we didn't think that he was going to be gone for that long, and I was like, okay, yeah. I mean, obviously, I figured he wasn't going to be gone for that long. But...
Right. He's gone for like a month, but actually only 3 episodes.
Yep. Which thanks Odyssey for being confusing as heck. Yeah. Any other final thoughts for the episode, Dylan?
No, I think that sums it up. I like it.
It's very good. It's confusing.
Yeah.
To say the least, it's very confusing.
Yeah, it does. Some of the logic is just interesting, but you know what? It's laying groundwork.
And it's so good, and it's so much better than the groundwork episodes for Novacom.
Yeah. And yeah, assuming that neither of us feel like plugging anything right now.
I don't feel like plugging anything right now.
We'll be back in a week to talk about episode 77, The Nemesis, Part 1. It's about to get real, guys.
Yeah, it is.
Bye.
Bye.
WadFam Chalk Pod is a presentation of the Litz Podcast Co-op. This show is a fan podcast and has no official affiliation with Adventures in Odyssey or Focus on the Family. As such, the copyright is ours under Creative Commons. Follow the podcast at WadFamChalkPod on Twitter and Instagram, or email us at wadfamchalkpod@gmail.com. Eugene's Dilemma was hosted by Dylan Weaver and Andrew Sabo, and edited by Dylan Weaver. And I'm Nathan Haverstick, hoping you'll join us again next time for more of the Wad Fam Chalk Pod.